As more and more details emerge on the truth about the origins of COVID-19, now there is a report that is doing the rounds, a report that is being cited, a report that news agencies have now begun to quote about what may have triggered America's change in stance as far as China goes. A Chinese top official has reportedly defected to America, giving Biden administration information about the Wuhan lab, according to a report. This report states that the Chinese Vice Minister of State Security, Dong Jingwei, reportedly defected to the United States and gave the information about the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is at the center of the COVID lab leak hypothesis. Now, according to this report in Spy Talk, a Chinese language anti-communist media, and also on Twitter, abuzz with rumors that Dong Jingwei fled to the US via Hong Kong with his daughter, Dong Yang, in mid-February. Spy Talk is a newsletter covering US intelligence, defense and foreign policy on a Substack platform, which says that Dong supposedly gave Washington information about the Wuhan Institute of Virology that changed the stance of the Biden administration concerning the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, according to Spy Talk, if this rumor is to be believed, if it's not just speculation, but if it's a fact, it could be the highest level defection in the history of the People's Republic of China. Now, it's all based on a report, and the Chinese have, of course, gone on to deny all of this. Let's go across to Shivani joining us with more details. Shivani, has China responded to this? What do we know about this particular report and what this report says about this former top Chinese official who may have been defected, according to this report?
Ranjan, we know that this report is one of many other reports that has been indicating that how this COVID-19 virus could be a possible lab leak virus case. And now, as per reports, the Chinese Vice Minister of State Security, Dong Jingwei, reportedly defected to the United States and gave the information about the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We know that United States has already ordered a probe and by its intelligence agencies also, and there are a number of evidences and reports by so many other scientists from across the globe that point out on the link between the COVID-19 virus and the Wuhan lab, how it has been leaked and it could be a possible manufactured, fabricated virus. And this time, again, the Chinese Vice Minister of State Security, Dong Jingwei, reportedly defected to the United States and gave the information about the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is at the center of the coronavirus lab leak hypothesis. Remember, the Republic has also reached the place, and we have also indicated a lot of such evidences that this could
Shivani,
be
stay with me. Stay with me. I have Dr. Venkatesh Rao, who's been speaking on this subject. He's the former faculty of CMC Vellore, AIIMS New Delhi, UCMS Delhi and MSRMC. Now, Dr. Rao, there is a report, and this report cites, it's of course not confirmed. It's only a report. There has been no confirmation from any source. But this report goes on to suggest, and I'm only saying suggest, that a former top official may have actually spoken and given all the details to the US administration, forcing a change in stand in America's stand on this entire issue. What do you think? Is that a possibility? Could that be a possibility?
It is very difficult for me to say yes or no, but all I can say is that I have put out enough material in my articles and in my various presentations on your channel and other channels as to why this was all scientifically. These are all based on scientific publications. It is not circumstantial evidence. It is scientific evidence. Most of it are self-declarations by the scientists and by the doctors in Wuhan as to what all happened. So there is enough proof there. Plus, tomorrow's Sunday Guardian article, I am giving all the scientific evidence which shows that it was definitely not from the Wuhan wet market. So in the presence of all this, there is definite enough evidence. Now, as to if someone has defected, is possible, is very difficult for me sitting here to be able to figure out if someone has really defected. It's just like this Chinese virologist who has managed to reach US, and she has been speaking. She has spoken on your channel also. It's possible that this person has gone there, and if it has happened, they will be under under total protection, because the Chinese government doesn't take lightly to defectors. So there will be a definite danger to them. So it may be some time before we really come to know about it, because I'm sure if it is true, the Americans will be keeping all this in wraps.
Okay, yeah, agree with you. Thank you, Dr. Rao, for speaking to us. Let me go across also to Sriram Cholia on the phone line. Sriram, it's a report, but it's a pretty explosive report, which suggests that a Chinese defector may have spilled the beans to America. Now, we don't have, of course, you will never get a confirmation from China. But this report goes on to say very interestingly, Sriram, that this subject was brought up with Anthony Blinken when they met with the Chinese side. What's your take on it?
Well, there's an intelligence war going on, Niranjan, no doubt about it. And the US may have lured someone who has authentic information with which to, challenge the Chinese, because nothing like an insider. So, because that's like almost close to getting to the smoking gun in this whole search for the truth about COVID's origins. So, there have been quite a few high-profile Chinese dissidents or disaffected senior officials who have sought asylum in the West and have been given asylum because their lives are under threat. So this poor person, the individual may have actually been in severe danger to her or his own life, and may have therefore wanted safety. And for the Americans, that's good, because that's the way to nail the case against the Chinese. Because the Chinese always say, you don't have access to the ground. You don't have, people on the field to be able to make an authentic claim. But if we have defectors, then it's different, because even during the Cold War period, and now we are in the so-called Cold War period, new Cold War period, these defectors can be potentially very, very damning in terms of exposing the truth about what the Chinese have been doing. Communist Party members or officials are like gold dust, because once they come out, they can open their mouths, they start singing. As long as they're within the country, they're, whether they, even if they conscientiously or morally object to what is happening, they are silenced, like we saw with Li Wenliang, who was the early whistleblower who was silenced. So therefore, I think it must be true. If it has been brought up between Anthony Blinken and Yang Jiechi, his Chinese counterpart, that means the Chinese are furious. They're angry and they're upset, because the moment the Americans parade the info that they get from these insiders, Chinese insiders, then, the China's cover has been blown. So therefore, they could be embarrassed in front of the whole world. Then they will say, no, he's an absconder from justice. He's a criminal or a fugitive and all that. They will have their own spin. But this could, spiral if it is made public. I think the Americans will hold this defector back as a bargaining chip. And that's the way to put pressure on the Chinese. The Chinese regime is not amenable to sweet talking or to multilateral bargaining and negotiations, as they have shown. They only respond to the language of threat. And I think using defectors is an old strategy of Cold Wars. We are now back in a new Cold War. Not at all surprising that this development is likely to have happened.
Sriram, for speaking to us. Okay, now, did a Chinese insider spill the beans? Did a Chinese insider spill the beans? Now, it's a $1 million question, maybe a $1 billion question, but this is what we know so far. Dong Jingwei is a former Chinese Vice Minister of State Security. Former Chinese Vice Minister of State Security. Let's see what else we know about this man. Defected to the United States post 1989. Allegedly gave Washington information on the Wuhan lab. China raised the issue with the US on most wanted officials, is what we are hearing. Now, according to this, all of this is based on a report that has been published in Spy Talk. Right? Now, this is what we know, and reportedly China also raised it with Blinken. There has been no confirmation from either the US or even China. China, of course, has gone a step further to deny these reports. But this is what we know so far, but it takes the story to an all-new dimension. And we at Republic TV will keep a close track on it. On the biggest story tonight, getting you more breaking news updates